According to Pew Research, only half of divorced or widowed women ever remarry, and most of them say they just don't want to. Many of them say they value their independence and their own peace of mind. Some say they just don't want to repeat same old mistakes again. Others say the pain of losing a spouse made them stronger and not weaker, and some enjoy their own company too much to give it up. I have compiled so many videos so that you can hear it straight from the older, widowed and divorced women in their own words. So without further ado, let's get into this video.
Hey, I'm Colleen. I'm 58. I'm a widow of 7 years. I will never marry again, ever. And I'm not even interested in dating at all. And let me say this, the likelihood of me ever cohabitating with a man, why? This is my turn. This is my third act. I'm flying solo, and the peace that I feel and the freedom that I feel just to live my life is so profound, I can't even really begin to describe it. I say things like, I get to do what I want, where I want, how I want, if I want, etc. But I also get to build a home completely that is reflective of me. I walk into my space and I'm, this is me. It all feels me. It's safe. It's my energy. There's no angry man. There's no walking on eggshells. There's no getting punished for liking certain things. What relationships are complicated. I will never marry again. I will never be legally attached to somebody again. I said what I said. I'm way happier on my own. I have friends like, oh, what are you going to do if you don't marry again? Fucking live my life.
And another reason why I, a 54-year-old woman recently divorced, will not be dating again is because none of the men out here can compare to my ex-husband. I know that's surprising to hear, considering the fact that I divorced him last year after 18 years of marriage. But, you know, my ex-husband was really the love of my life. I went through it for that man. I did everything I could to try to save our marriage. I did a lot of good things. I went to therapy to try to work on my issues. I tried to compromise. I tried to see things from his point of view. But I also did a lot of bad things. I made myself smaller. I was silent when I shouldn't have been. I compromised unfairly. I put off the things that I really wanted to do so I could be there for him and our kids. By the end of the marriage, I was really just hollowed out and empty. But I put in that extraordinary effort because I loved him so much. And I can't imagine even doing 5% of that effort for another relationship. I'm just too precious to myself right now. I'm just too important to myself to ever put myself to the side for another man. I've had to do a lot of work over this last year to get myself where I'm at right now. I'm not even fully at where I really want to be, but I'm doing so much better now. I like myself so much better now, even more than when I was married. I just can't imagine putting that kind of progress, that kind of work to the side, just so I can be staring at my phone, wondering, when is he going to text me back? I'm at peace with the fact that I had this really great, extraordinary love that, you know, gave me 2 wonderful children. And in a lot of ways, it was a good time in my life. But it hurt me in ways that there's probably a tiny part of me that's never going to recover from what I put myself through because I love that man so much. But it's behind me now. And I just know I'm never, ever going back to that. Nobody, no relationship is worth it.
When I got divorced after 20 years of marriage, I knew like immediately that remarriage was not for me. It was not in the plan. I could live out the rest of my life happy and peaceful with my cats, no problem. And here are some comments from other women who have talked about what their life looked like after they got divorced. Divorced after a 20-year marriage and I will never marry again. I no longer believe in it. I want to win the lottery, move to Scotland, and meet a nice, funny guy to not marry. Divorced 3 years after 27 years married, will never marry again. I love living my goals, my dreams, my whims, my schedule. Well, why would I give that up? No interest in creating another partnership with a man. I'm decentering men and planning to buy a place with 2 friends.
Two things that I know for sure as a woman who is newly divorced and was married for 19 years. The first thing is I will not get married again. I have no desire to get married again. And secondly, I do not want to live with the man again. I love having my own space. And when I think about my next partnership, my love, all of that, he will have his own place and I will have my own place. And this is coming from someone who got her first apartment in her 40s. In fact, I'm coming up on 3 years this month. And there is something that I value about just having my own space, being around my own energy. The extrovert in me loves being around people, but I also like having my safe space. And so as I am in this space of dating and being outside and all of the things, those are 2 things that I know for sure because I have learned a lot. I am healing and I've healed a lot. And there's just certain things that are going to be necessary as I am dating that I actually speak about up front, so there's no confusion. But I just want to share that because that was on my mind this morning, and I get asked that question all the time, will you ever get married again? And the answer is no, and I do not want to live with the man again. Again, he has his place, I have my place, and we have a non-traditional relationship, and I love that.
The number one question that I get as a divorcee is, would you ever get married again? And my answer is probably not. In fact, I see marriage as a purely practical business decision. The only circumstance in which I would get married again is if we're old, we know we're going to die in this relationship, and it's probably best for us to get married so that if you do die, the state doesn't liquidate your assets. I also plan on making my own money and largely providing for myself for the rest of my life. I will never combine finances with a man ever again. I also do not plan on having any children. So for me personally, it does not make any sense for me to get married. There's no practical reason for me to get married at all. In fact, marriage will not add anything positive to my life. Now, do I believe in love? Absolutely. My partner and I live like we're basically married. He calls me his wife. In fact, he would marry me tomorrow if I was cool with it, but I don't see a point in getting married. The other thing that you have to think about is that in almost every state, there is a minimum of at least 90 days that you have to wait before you can legally divorce anybody. In some states, it's 6 months. And for me personally, when I'm done with a relationship, I'm done. I'm not going to be having the government tell me that I cannot be done with somebody when I want to be done with them. You know what I'm saying? Never again am I going to put myself in a situation where it's going to be difficult for me to leave. And frankly, it really bums me out when I see young women who've never been married act like the most exciting thing they can do in this life is get married. In fact, I would encourage most women to decenter the idea of getting married altogether. Very rarely does marriage actually benefit women. It can provide financial security if you happen to marry a guy that makes a lot of money, but if you're marrying somebody that doesn't make a lot of money, all you're really doing is creating a financial and legal trap for yourself. If anything, I would say wait a really long time to get married. There's a lot of weird cultural pressure around like, if he's not proposing within 2 years and it's over, like, I don't really get that, to be honest with you. And I understand like why women get married for financial security, but I would also encourage women to create their own financial security outside of marrying a man. A man is not a plan.
But listen, I'm divorced and I'm not planning to get married again, but it might be for reasons that you might not be expecting. I am so happy that I got married before like this true social media craze. I mean, I married in 2013, so like it was still there, it was still around, but the pressure these people, especially brides, are under these days, I like can't handle it. I just watched a TikTok from a girl who was saying that she's afraid that she's going to be like a boring looking bride. Like she's afraid she's going to be like underwhelming, because then she compared herself to another social media influencer and was like, her photos are just like so stunning and her dress and her beautiful and her location. And I'm seeing all of these like such like over the top lavish wedding ceremonies, not just from influencers, but just like I just see them scrolling through the internet, and it's like I got married in a burned down church in Iowa. And I see all the videos of like the dances, you know, the bride and doing like the choreographed dances, or like how funny can the ring bearer be, like having like a grown man be a ring bearer and like throwing out shots of fireball. It just seems like wedding these days are like how, I mean, it's just like our world in general. Like, how can we top it? How can we top it? How can we be the next thing? How can we be shocked? And I have no desire. I have no desire to do that. Like, having a normal wedding was stressful enough and it didn't work out. So no, I'm good. I'm good.
You know, I have another cold, so don't mind it. Anyway, people often ask me if I ever see myself falling in love again, remarrying, even just dating. And my answer so far in the last 20 months has always been, no, I have no desire to. And that's my own personal feeling, how I'm feeling now. I don't know in another 2 or 3 years, by the grace of God, if I'm still here, how I'll feel. What I do know, there will never be another Anthony. Ever. And my fear is, if I did start dating again, I fear I would always hold the next person to that standard. I would always compare them to Anthony, and that's not fair to them. He was a once-in-a-lifetime man. You'd have to know him to know what I mean by that. And those that did know him can most definitely vouch for what I'm saying. But right now, I have no desire to date. I don't. And I don't begrudge anyone that is a widow that has decided to move on to even remarry. Everyone's different. I think about the talks that we've had in the past, me and him, and how he would always say, if you ever remarry or if you even think about dating, I'm going to come back and haunt you. And I know selfishly the thought of that would drive him insane, you know? And I get it. But I also know realistically he wouldn't want me to stay alone and miserable the rest of my life. I'm choosing to do that right now. Again, I don't know if the future will change that. But as of right now, I enjoy my time being alone. As lonely as I get at times, and I get very lonely, I enjoy not having to answer to anyone, you know? Come and go as I please. It does get lonely, but I weigh the pros and cons about the loneliness, and I just enjoy my peace and my alone time. And I'm not ready to give my heart to anyone else. Half of my heart left with him when he left. I have a lot of grieving to work through. Not just my husband, but my mom, my sister-in-law, my mother-in-law, and uncle. Most recently, my other uncle, my mom's brother. There's been a lot of loss. A lot in the past year and a half. I don't think anybody wants to deal with that, and me right now, in my mental state, honestly.
I keep hearing the conversations about women who don't want to ever get married again. Women who don't want to be in a relationship or they don't want to live with a man ever again in life. And I get it. When you have been in a situation where you are overperforming and someone is underperforming, it is draining. The imbalance really starts to erode at the relationship. When you are the person who's trying to make sure the household runs smoothly and you're working all day and then you're coming home and you're having to cook and you're having to clean and you're having to make sure that the kids are good and you're having to put them in the bath and you're having to do all the things. And then at the end of the night, you take a shower, you're winding down, you just fall into the bed exhausted, and now somebody's trying to hump on your leg. Let me tell you something. Romance, it starts here between the ears. It starts with you assisting. It starts with you being there for her, showing up for her. She shouldn't have to carry the entire load, not the mental load, the emotional load, the physical load. That is draining. She doesn't have the capacity for her spouse. She is exhausted. And if someone is constantly underperforming and you're overperforming, that imbalance gets old real quick. And then when you just get fed up, no one wants to be a single parent. No one wants to be divorced. But sometimes you just feel like, what am I doing here? Like, this is not enough for me. I deserve so much more than I'm getting. And after a while, you just decide you need more. And now you're single and your house is clean every day. And every time you walk into the house, it's just spotless and there's no one there taking up your air, needing something and not doing much. There's no more breadcrumbs. It's just you. And it's been you all along, but now it's you without that dead weight. And then you're like, I don't know if I would trade this. I don't know if I want to bring somebody back into my home that's immature, that underperforms, that isn't a true teammate. And then you recognize how peaceful your life has become. I get it. I don't know if I want somebody else in my house either. Bye.
Would you, if something happened to your husband, get remarried to another man?
No, of course not. That's when I would make being a widow my whole personality. That's when I would begin my spiral into madness. I envisioned that my house would become like a gray garden situation. The neighbors would never see me. They'd never come in and I'd never come out. They may get a glimpse of me in the dark, scurrying out to the porch to maybe get my grocery delivery or my DoorDash. All the neighborhood children would dare each other to come up to my house. They would think I was a witch. And everyone would say, oh, that's just the widow Bartley. She's never been the same since her husband passed. Now, most likely I'd just be inside, bundled up, eating snacks and watching 90 Day Fiance, but the mystery that surrounded me would be great.
Not everybody wants another relationship after divorce, and that is okay. Many of us found ourselves in difficult situations and challenging relationships because we were trying to follow blueprints. We were doing what everybody else was doing, or we were doing what we were taught to do. But divorce actually brings about an opportunity to create a truly tailor-made experience for yourself in terms of your life. And because relationships and who you are in relationship with can have such a tremendous impact on your overall well-being and the quality of your life, this is something that you really need to be thoughtful and careful with. Choosing to intentionally remain single is a legitimate option. For many women, it provides peace, clarity, and calm on a daily basis. Choosing to remain single for a time or for a lifetime allows you to focus on self-discovery. What a treasure and a gift to give oneself.